I had a client, the one guy who liquidated all of his real estate at the right time, like right before it crashed. I helped him buy 14 properties in 14 months. He ended up pocketing like 2 million in equity. Everybody else, and I watched like $4 million in equity just evaporate, you know, because of the market.
Welcome to the Texas Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview Texas real estate professionals from active real estate investors, lenders, property managers, and many others that provide goods and services into the real estate investing industry in the great state of Texas. Our goal is simple: to share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level, and to meet the pros that can help you get there. Texas Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and entrepreneurs build the business they need to live the life that they've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hey folks, welcome back to the show. Today's guest, Reuben Lowing out of Houston, Texas, is the VP of All Into Life Financial, where they provide life insurance, mortgage protection, Medicare plans, and their powerful Bank on Life concept. He has a background in mortgages, and he also is a Navy SEAL veteran, having served in the 80s and 90s, graduating in Buds Class 141, and then serving in SEAL Team 4 and SEAL Team 1. Reuben, thank you for taking the time today.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. Thanks for having me on.
When we talk about the intersection of real estate and financial services, you have an interesting background for this because you came from the mortgage realm prior to getting into financial services.
Well, I first came into financial services in 2006, and I was heavy with construction lending because I didn't like the no income, no asset verification loans that they were coming out with, the option arms. And I'm like, that's just trouble waiting to happen. So I switched to current construction lending just because I was getting construction loans coming at me from all different directions. Comes to find out that civil engineers, land surveyors, general contractors like shooting, and shooting's my hobby, right? And so that's where I was getting that from. And that took the hit in 2006 when the housing market started taking a dive. And so where everybody else had 2008 was the big hiccup, for me it started earlier. I started looking at, well, actually I got a call out of the blue, and I'm seeing this presentation, and they're saying, okay, the baseline is, I'm eating my deli sandwich and drinking a soda, and I'm eating chips, and they're showing baseline protection. I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. Next was, debt management. I had that under control. And then emergency fund. I'm like, that's a good idea. And then the investments, I'm like, I started thinking all these people that I'd helped get into houses, and I knew they were never going to have enough saved to pay up that mortgage, or get out of debt so they could have enough to be able to retire. And so I'm like, that's what got me going right there. I already had a database of people to talk to. And, and then when I started, I worked a lot with real estate investors. Okay. And I didn't cheat. I had this, I had a client, the one guy who liquidated all of his real estate at the right time, like right before it crashed.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
I helped him buy 14 properties in 14 months.
Wow.
And he, he ended up pocketing like $2 million in equity. And he still had he had a single family and a 4-unit and a 2-unit, but they were free and clear. Right. So now, he was the one guy, right, that he had a crystal ball or something that knew when to let it go. But everybody else, I saw them. I saw like one person had like 10 properties in California and 10 in Hawaii. And I watched like $4 million in equity just evaporate, because of the market. And
Now, when that was all going on, the global housing crisis, I know from so many guests of this show, there was basically blood in the water in the mortgage space. You had people prior to that, making money hand over fist, and then
yeah,
everything like that is gone. Businesses shutter, you know, uh, brokerages close. What was that period of time like from someone in the space? What was it? A lot of people having to find new careers, even, and what was your experience going through that?
well, yeah. Uh, so I was, oh God. So I was just transitioning to the financial services. Okay. And of course, you have to, had to get your life and health Series 663. I haven't passed the Series 65 exam. And, right November 2007. So right before it all crashes I'm locked and cocked, but things went, crazy. It was wild. Um, what was going on is they started really getting tight on the guidelines. You'd submit somebody for underwriting, take forever for them to give you an approval. You'd have to get a recert for the appraisal because property values were just tanking, dropping like a stone. And the programs would go away. It just I had a whole bunch of files that all of a sudden, and I pre-underwrite them before I even send them in. I know I'm set. I know I'm going to get the deal closed usually because I make sure that I'm not wasting my time. I don't just throw mud on the wall. And they were like gone. They were all just decline, decline, decline. Or it wouldn't even be that. The company would close, go out of business. The company would just go away. Started with New Century was the first one, and then uh World Savings, and then and then oh gosh, I can't remember the names. Anyways, but it just like they just started closing down. I mean, it's like then you had nobody to
Yeah.
talk to. You had nobody because everybody they're all gone or they leave, right? So that was yeah. It's like rats from a sinking ship.
That this is a good segue to this bank on life concept. And we were chatting before the show, Ruben, and I was mentioning, this infinite banking concept. I've never heard of a bank on life concept. Can you break that down for us?
Well, yeah, okay. So I was telling you that I was like, how? So here's what happens, and I wish I had a graphic to show you on here, but they're on my website. My business is your business.info. They're all over that. Okay. So what happens is you open up a whole life policy that's big enough to overfund by the amount of debt service.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
Whether it's their mortgage, their car payment, their lines of credit, credit cards, whatever. All right. And you have them overfund that policy. So you have what's called the scheduled premium or target premium. That's the least amount of premium you can pay to keep that policy alive. Then you add to it your debt service. So you got to have a big enough policy that you can overfund it by that much. You pay your premium every month, and then you borrow out of the policy. They're what's called a wash. Okay, what that is that's how you get tax-free money in retirement. Is you take a policy loan. So what happens? Like you got $1 million in your policy. You're like, okay, I'm done working. I want $60,000 a year just to make the numbers easy. The insurance company is like, okay, so they take $5,000 a month out of your policy and they give you a credit of 5%. And then they put that money in the general fund of the insurance company. And when they pay you out of that, they pay you out as a loan, charging you 5%. So that's why you don't pay taxes on loan proceeds, right? And there's no bill to pay because your death benefit will pay off the balance when you die. Okay.
Now, I've got a question about this. At what point can you take a loan from this policy? I'm imagining there's like a seasoning period once you've paid into it a certain amount. How many years in can you take out a loan?
It all depends on how you fund it. If you just funding it monthly and you're starting to build up after the first year, but if you're front loading it, if you're going to pay, you're going to overfund it to the max, it's called 7-pay limit. You can take money like right away.
Now,
You
is
can't
this?
get it all. You can't get it all. They're going to keep some of it back, right? But you can have access to what you overfund. They'll have that. You'll have access to that you can borrow back.
You're essentially borrowing from the amount that you've put in, right? Not the value of the death benefit of the policy, right?
That's correct.
Okay. And so when people talk about being able to secure themselves, oftentimes people are thinking, well, I'm not really going to be able to take advantage of this because, it's a little bit morbid, but I've got to pass away for this, financial windfall to happen. But in this bank on life concept, you're able to actively benefit through securing, your family's financial future.
That's correct.
Yeah. And
I mean, so
I want to.
what happens? So I'm educating myself about this, right? And I stumble on a video of a guy, another veteran, Navy veteran, an officer, used his VA loan to buy his house. And he learned about this strategy. So he did the strategy to pay off his house. Right. And then he ended up buying into a fitness franchise using the same strategy. Then he's got like 4 fitness strategies and so he's got like 5 whole life policies that he used to pay off his house and pay off his businesses faster. And so I started to see how, and this is like ideal for real estate investors. I got a video that there's a house, the mortgage is $338,400 at 5%, $1,886 a month is the payment. Okay. So if you were to use the pill method, $500 a month of that $1,886 a month goes toward principal. That's why it takes 30 years to pay off that mortgage. Okay. But you get full credit for that $1,886 into the whole life policy. All right. So it takes 9.2 years before you have enough money in that policy to completely pay off that mortgage. So you borrow that money out of that policy.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
And you put it in and you pay off your mortgage. Now you're paying yourself back. You still would have been paying that same amount of money to the mortgage. Now you got your mortgage paid off, and you're loading up. And this is what the kicker is. And I never knew this for 20 years, but the reason this works is because only in whole life do you get that guaranteed 5.125% interest on the borrowed money. Now, once you paid it off, once you put what you put back into the policy, now you have access to dividends. So these companies are called mutual companies. Every policy owner is a shareholder of the company, and they share dividends. So the better the company does, the better they do. They're averaging about 12%, just under 12%. Okay, which you use the rule of 72, right? That's then you're realizing that that's getting you down the road a lot faster, right? So then that you take that equity out of the house, and I found a 4-unit in the same neighborhood, a little over $1 million. Borrow the money out of the policy for the down payment. You set up another whole life policy. You can rent the 4-unit for enough to cover the mortgage and the new mortgage on the primary residence. All right, and now your quadruplex is paying for your primary residence and funding your future at the same time. You got 2 policies. You got one for the house, for the primary residence, and one for the quadruplex, right? And it's just building up cash for you. You'll have both properties paid off in like less than 20 years and have $1 million set aside in your infinite bank, in the whole life policies with all these tax advantages.
Now, in these whole life policies, if you outlive the term of the policy, are you then receiving some type of benefit? I'm imagining at the end of that time period.
So you just confused some things. You just said whole life and term in the same, like you're talking about the same thing. They
Okay,
are
yeah,
not.
that's true. Help me out here. Help me out here.
Okay. So term is it's just pure insurance, and it's for a term, 10, 15, 20, 25 years. And then if you don't die, you don't get paid back. Right. And then you get older. So you're going to have, it's more expensive to start a new one. Right. So that's the challenge. Terms are inexpensive. Okay. But they're for a term, and there's no cash value building up in a term policy. Now there are convertible terms now. Most all of them are. So now what I'll do, if somebody doesn't have an emergency fund, they don't have at least 3 to 6 months set aside in a savings account, a CD, a mutual fund or something, I won't put them in a permanent policy. I'll get a term started for them, and then I'll coach them along, helping them pay off debt, and to build up that 3 to 6 months in reserve in a liquid account. And then we'll convert that term policy. They don't have to go through underwriting again to make it a cash value policy. Now they start that same money they're putting to build up, pay off their debt and build up the emergency fund. Now we just redirect that to the whole life policy or the cash value policy, whatever it is, right? Could be if I don't have a business or a mortgage to pay off, I don't use whole life. I'll use a universal life, index universal life, or variable universal life.
Thank you for breaking that down for me and for clearing up some of my confusion. As the name says, you're not going to outlive a whole life policy. For folks who may not have, a mortgage to be paying down, would whole life still be something that would make sense for them, or would one of these other policies maybe make more sense for them if they don't have a mortgage at the time?
Well, okay, so if they don't have a house with a mortgage or a business to pay off, if they have other debt, like I just had one of my uh one of my agents who's a mortgage broker has a client, young guy, making like he's like 25, making $300,000 a year, and he's getting these affirm or afterpay. He's got like 9 of them, and the guy's got something coming out of his checking account every day of the month. Okay. And I'm like, dude, this guy's perfect for this type of strategy. Even though he doesn't, he's got a house, he's got a mortgage, so that's why this guy's working with. He's trying, or I guess he's trying to buy a house. He's trying to buy a house. Okay. And so he's an ideal candidate to set up for the family banking or infinite banking strategy. Okay. But let's say he didn't have a house. But he's got all this debt rolled up, or debt, you know, it's faster and costs you less money to do an infinite banking strategy with a whole life policy than it would be to do a debt roll up or the pill method.
Wow. I mean, as we're talking about this, I'm thinking about all the young people who may think, well, uh, what would be the use case for me? But the reality is, there's a lot of people with revolving debt. There's a lot of people who are looking to get into a home, and if you start
When you
now,
talk to
right?
young people, they're like, "What? I'm gonna make my mom my beneficiary, right?" They're like, or they're their mind isn't there. There's part of a man's brain that doesn't get engaged until they get that significant other. Then you watch how fast they get it together and get themselves so they can qualify to buy that house for that significant other, right? So they could be together.
Yeah.
Now you watch how fast
Yeah.
they do that, right? It's a motivating factor. Then they get the kid. I mean, it's like that part of there's part of us that doesn't engage until that happens. I got this young guy, automotive mechanic, like 22 years old, making $60,000 a year, right? And he's just like fat. I mean, to him, it's like life is great, right? Got my own place, got my money, right? And I called him up. He's like, "I'm glad you called because I paid everything off. I have about $1,000 left, and I was going to go get another tattoo, right?" And it's like, until you they have a reason. Like nobody does anything, but they don't have a reason. They have that's a passionate reason. They gotta want it really bad. Okay. And then watch what happens. Okay. But if you don't, you know, if you don't, it's hard. I mean, and I don't like chargebacks. I don't like so when somebody quits their policy, right? That's why I make sure they have an emergency fund because everybody's gonna have emergency just a matter of when. And
Yeah.
you don't want to have all them dominoes fall on you, right? And it,
Yeah, I mean, when we talk about needing to have that motivation, I this applies to real estate investors as well. Oftentimes, it's some stressor or some distress, whether it's physical or financial, that causes people to become real estate investors, or they have so much pain from their job or whatever it is in their life that is saying, "Hey, I've just got to find a different way." And so I'm hearing a similarity there. We are coming up on time here, though. Here, Ruben, any new projects that you or your team are working on, and also where can folks go to reach out to you?
well, I have a website. It's mybusinessisyourbusiness.info. And there's all kinds of everywhere you turn, there's a way to get my attention. All right. I get notified if you can go on the website and look around. There's all kinds of information about what I'm talking about. There's, you contact me, it comes right to me. That's probably the easiest. And then there's so much, I got videos everywhere. There's animated videos that talk about the family banking and the, one of the things that people don't realize is, and right now, like today is the deadline for Texas, Michigan, and California, which just happen to be the states that I'm licensed in, to get the FAFSA form if they have a high school senior that's going to be going to college in the fall. It's a federal program where the federal deadline is June 30th. But for Texas, Michigan, and California, you got to get the FAFSA form in now. And if you have assets that are in a retirement, like an IRA or annuities or cash value life insurance, you don't have to count it on the FAFSA form. So you don't have to spend that money before your child gets financial aid. Okay. So that's today. That's the deadline for today. And that's, I start a lot of conversations with that. All right. So that's what I've been working on, since the first part of the year until now because of that deadline. Right. But there's still, ideally you want to get, for your kid, anybody who's got children next fall, then October 1st is the opening date to get your information, and you want to have everything lined up before that ever even happens. Like I was telling you, because of my background with mortgages and real estate, I can't look at somebody's finances. Like I have had a young girl. She was a massage therapist, and she's making like $4,500 a month, single woman, right? And she had great credit. And the only thing that was keeping her from getting, and she wanted to buy a house. She wants to be a real estate investor, right? But she has no assets, right? And I look at where she's spending her money. She was spending like $660 a month eating out. I'm like, what, can't you cook? Right? And, I'm like, or is the food that good? What it is, and it's always something, right? Is that social interaction, right? And
That's exactly,
yeah.
yeah.
But what's the quality of the waiter or the waitress or the guy taking your order behind the counter of that social interaction? Now she just got married, right? So things are really going to change there, right? And that's another thing. When I see all the time people that he's got his money in her debt and she's got her money in her debt, and neither of the two shall meet. It's hard to even sit them down and get them to talk about it, right? And usually in those relationships, their days are numbered. But if you get them working together, like my boxing coach, Roy Jones Sr. used to say, both fighters think they're going to kick the other guy's butt. The first one that changes their mind loses. When you got two people working on the same thing, it's going to happen. So when you both are working on your goals together, it will happen. But when you don't, and it's like that story of the guy's, playing golf with his buddy, and his buddy dies of a heart attack. But he's like, afterwards, like, man, you look rough. What happened? He goes, well, Joe died. And then it was from that point, it was like, hit the ball, drag Joe, hit the ball, drag Joe. I mean, that's what it's like when you don't have your partner and you on the same page. I think
Yeah.
every pastor in every church should be licensed in financial services and sit down with their people and look at it, because it doesn't matter what comes out of their mouth. When you look at their finances and seeing how they're spending their money, it'll tell you where their priorities are.
Absolutely. It's the bedrock of any business, of course, is going to be some type of spreadsheet, right? And numbers don't lie, right? Especially when we talk real estate and financial services, for sure. Reuben, thank you so much for taking the time today. Thanks for coming on the show.
So I appreciate it. I'm honored. I hope I gave you some insight. I hope you learned a little something.
Thanks for joining us for today's show. If you're looking to take your business and your life to the next level, you really need to learn more about the Investor Fuel Mastermind. It's your shortcut to success. To learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other amazing entrepreneurs, 100% financing on your deals, member-only discounts, and so much more, please visit investorfuel.com/Texas. By the way, Investor Fuel is even Texas-based. Also, if you're interested in applying to be a guest on this very show, the Texas Real Estate Pro Show, please visit investorfuel.com/Texas. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast app so you never miss another episode. We'll see you on the next show.